Hi again. This time I'm going to talk about a video game recap. So this is going to be Uncharted 4. I just got done playing this last weekend, I guess it was. It's a little blurry, but it's a pretty good game. So what is this? Naughty Dog? Is that who this is? They really, so I played the last three as well, plus The Last of Us. So this story, it started out, there's a lot of moments in this game that I clung to for either emotional or just in awe of some of the scenery. So the big emotional moments for me were the opening scene. Well, it wasn't really the opening scene, but it was pretty close to the opening scene where he's hanging out in his house with his wife, which I thought she was going to go away because she was in one, and she was kind of in one, and then she was in two, and then she disappeared. And it's the blonde girl, Elena, is that her name? And she went away in two, and so I was kind of like, oh, that's a bummer, because I was rooting for her. And three came along, and you had this spunky, crazy chick that was the same chick that's from originally from Farscape, but she was on some other stuff too. Stargate SG-1, the TV show, she was towards the end, and Stargate Atlantis, I think she was in that one as well. And she seemed to be taking over the role of the female interest for Drake, so that was kind of weird. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's it. Elena is gone, so all right, whatever. And then they went on hiatus and did The Last of Us, and I understand why they did that. The first three Uncharted's were very game concept wise. You had your weak enemy that built up to a boss, and then you had your medium enemy that built up to a boss, and then you had your strong enemy that built up to a boss. And there's a major flaw with that when it comes to story, and they were struggling with that with the Uncharted series. They started out with a very good, very strong story, and then it turned into this weird zombie-like or monster-like thing that they were fighting at the end that didn't really fit in the realm of reality. So it was just kind of like, what the hell is going on? And so they took a step back and they made The Last of Us as an experiment to see if storytelling was more important than gameplay design. And it was. Last of Us was it the game of the year? It was pretty strong contender for game of the year. I don't remember. That was a few years ago. But it was a very good game. It was kind of dull at times or slow paced at times, but it was a very good story. It was very, the game mechanics worked, and the gameplay worked, and the story worked, and the story was a pretty strong story. And so now we have Uncharted 4. And Uncharted 4, has that same progression of story that The Last of Us had. But this, I think, is a better story than The Last of Us. One, we have if you played the previous games, I definitely recommend playing the previous games to play this game. While, again, the endings aren't as strong, they definitely take away from the games, but, or the story, at least. The gameplay, it's still good for gameplay, but this Uncharted 4 builds or reminisces on those last three games, and it does a very good job of that. You're in his house, you're in his attic, and you're wandering around looking at stuff, and if you didn't play the last games, this scene is completely meaningless. But if you did play the last games, it's a very poignant moment. You're looking back on all those hours you put into these games, and you're like, yeah, I remember that. I remember those moments. and it was a very good scene. It was a very good setting. And then of course you start interacting with Elena, and that's a very strong emotional moment. You know, you're sitting here discussing with her and fantasizing about going and doing some more adventuring and exploring, and she's kind of just trying to live life, and you're zoning out, and she's like, hey, come back to me. And it's a strong moment. That moment is a very strong one. And then of course, you know, you proceed into the story arc. You realize he has a brother. I don't know if that was a strong moment. It was just kind of there. But it was a good moment. I mean, it was good. They wove it into the story pretty well. And of course, the other strong moment for me was, you know, he's siding with his brother. He's starting to alienate the old guy. I don't remember his name, but he's starting to alienate the old guy. And the old guy, you know, he tells him to shove off. You know, screw you. I'm sticking with my brother. You know, this is family stuff if you don't want to be a part of it. And so Sully. So Sully goes and leaves, and you know, he's still fighting with his brother. And then we get to that moment on top of the tower. That is a view, and they frame it too, so they know it's a view. So they're like, "Look, this is cool," and it is cool. It is a very good scenic view. I'll get to that towards the end, but you know, you're struggling with your brother to solve these puzzles, and you're having fun. But then you realize you're in too deep. You're risking your life, and you're doing something you shouldn't be doing because you have people that care about you. And those people had been kind of following him, and they realize he's in danger, and they come after him. And Elena shows up, and he's been lying to her, and you know, that's a very strong moment in the story where, you know, she's still there supporting him, even though it's difficult sometimes. You know, even though, you know, that he's been lying about this situation, and she's still there helping him. She's still being there for him. And so is Sully. Sully is there as well, helping. And that was a very strong moment, a very good moment in the story. And then, of course, you know, they proceed to continue to solve the puzzles and whatnot, and they do some more scenic views. Oh man, that whole pirate village thing, that's a place. So, well, let me try and finish up the story. So, you know, they're struggling, and his brother is a dick, and he's like, you know, everybody's back together, and they're like, we should leave, we should get out of here. You know, we're against an army. We should we're no match against an army. We should head out. We should leave. You know, it's not worth it. It's just money. It's not worth it. And the brother was like, no, I've been, you know, of course to him, this is all new. This is the first time he's been out of prison, and this is the first time he's on an adventure to go and, seek these treasures. So to him, it's new, and to him, he wants to go and do this stuff. So, and I get that. But his brother, Drake is like, well, you know, I got these people I have to take care of. I should go with them. And of course, they have that struggle, and he decides to leave his brother. He's like, okay, you can go do what you want. But then he's like, you know, he's struggling with it a little bit, and then he's like, okay, you know, I have to help my brother. And Elena and Sully are like, okay, you know, we'll support you, we're going to follow you. And he's like, no, you guys should leave, you should go, you know, protect yourselves and be safe. And they're like, no, we're going to, you know, support you. And so, you know, everybody's supporting everybody. It's a pretty good story from that perspective. And then, you know, you follow your brother, or Drake follows his brother. Sorry, projecting myself as the character in the video game. So you follow his brother, your brother, Drake follows his brother, and you culminate into the bad guy, fighting him, finding the treasure, and then fighting him again. And that battle was pretty interesting. It was unexpected for me, but I guess they needed to create a different dynamic. It's still a video game. You still gotta create the epic boss battle, and so they needed a different twist than just a shootout. So they're like, okay, well, let's do some swashbuckling and sword fighting. And so it wasn't that great. I mean, from a gameplay perspective, it was fine. I mean, there's definitely some challenging, to me, while it's not a first-person shooter. Thank God it's not a first-person shooter, because I hate playing first-person shooters on console. The whole cover mechanic and trying to... They did a decent job. I'm going to say a decent job. They could have done some better layouts and whatnot for some of the scenes, but, they did a decent job to give you the ability to stealth through the whole thing or shoot it out. And it is challenging. I tried to stealth through a couple of them, and they ended up turning into a gun battle, and I died a few times. So it's definitely challenging. It's not an easy thing to get through. But they did a good job. They could have done better, but they did a good job. And so, yeah, I think that's it. The ending of the story was good again. Oh man, the prologue, I guess it was a prologue. The ending. Whatever is that the prologue? I should get better at these terms. They're old. They had a kid, and you're that kid now. And she's exploring the house, and that was pretty cool. That kind of tracks back to the first reminiscent in the attic that Drake does of the previous game. She's doing a reminiscent of their life in general, and that was pretty cool. And they have Crash Bandicoot in there, which I think is funny. I think it's funny because, it's like this is the sophisticated game that these people are playing, which I guess, normal people play those types of games more so than like hardcore gamers. But I'm not saying hardcore gamers don't play those games, but I mean, I have it on my phone as a game to play, and I do play it from time to time. But I just thought it was kind of funny, that, and it's their game. They made it back in the day, and so. But anyway, the big issue I have with this game, and I have this issue with a lot of games that I play. I want it to be an open world when I'm done. I want the story. I want that progression. That was great. But now that the story's over, I'm done with the game because I don't want to go and play again. The shooting mechanic, the cover shooting mechanic is not that fun. It's fun enough to get through the story. It's good enough to get through the story, but it's not fun to just play. So it's like, I don't want to play the game anymore. I'm done. I got the story. I'm good. I should talk about that, but I'm not done playing that game. I'm gonna talk about a different game next time. So they need to open up the game when you're done. This whole challenge crap, I hate it. I'm not a completionist. I hate the whole nickel and diming a game. And it's like, oh, you got to find this thing here, and you got to go find that thing there. It's like, I hate that. When I was in the pirate village, I wanted to wander around. I wanted to experience it. And I like the lore that you get while you're wandering around. I mean, it's part of the story in this one, which is great. You pick up a letter, you read it, it tells you a little bit more about what happened there from the pirate perspective. They all eventually, the lead guy got so greedy he killed everybody. And that, as you wander around and look at things, and it gives you some lore, and it was great. But if they opened up the world and let you wander around without imminent threat lingering around all over the damn place, you could, explore a building, a structure, an artifact, and learn about it. Drake will tell you some story, some background to this spot, to this archaeological spot. The whole pirate cave. I really wanted to sit there and study it some more. I wanted to wander around those islands and experience it more and get more of a better view, a better perspective on that space. And so it's very disappointing that they don't let you do that. You have to play the game again, and you have to deal with those enemies again. And it's like, I don't want to deal with these people again. They suck. And so anyway, I think that's everything. That covers everything. It's a good game. It's definitely worth playing. It's a very good story. So anyway, till next time. I do want to say, I've been saying this on all of them this weekend because I should do it on every single video, but I these are small, short, and it feels redundant when I'm doing it. So, but if you watch this far, you definitely apparently like or something these videos, and I do appreciate that. But give me some feedback. Let me know what kind of TV shows, movies, or video games you want me to talk about. Also, if you want me to talk about just the highs, the good stuff, or the bad stuff, more of the bad stuff, more of the mediocre stuff, I don't know, whatever you guys want to hear about, let me know what you want to hear about so I can tailor this more to what you guys like. All right. Anyway, until next time.